Martin, and that's Pascal. And as teased already, we'll be talking about new features, and there's going to be app integration, and at the core of it will be SAP, but it's not limited to that. And today I brought my alter ego, the Integration Ninja Cat, and Pascal has its own one as well.
Yeah, this is on. Okay. So yeah, my name is Pascal van der Heijden. I'm a cloud solution architect at Microsoft, and my alter ego. I don't know if anyone recognizes the icon. Does anyone know? Can I see some hands? Nobody? There's one Turbo Pascal Borland Delphi developer here in the house. So yeah, that's my alter ego. So at college I learned Turbo Pascal as a language. It's my first programming language to learn, and so I have a good relationship with Turbo Pascal, and also with Delphi Man afterwards. So, but before we start, I just have a question. Who in the audience would consider themselves to be an integration developer? Okay. Almost everybody, right? Okay. So I would consider myself an integration developer as well, but how many of you would consider yourself to be an application developer as well? Well, I would say like 50% of the people would also consider themselves an application developer. So that's the thing, basically. I think an integration developer is pretty close to what becomes an application developer as well. So I will hope to inspire you with some nice demos on how an integration developer can also be an application developer. Go ahead, Martin.
Nice. And what we show today will be mostly about getting your application integration done with SAP faster, but also enterprise grade. Not only getting there quickly, but actually having it also in a productive manner. And the foundation for that is a new feature that was already hinted at by Slava this morning, and that's native OData in Azure API Management. And the legacy interfaces for SAP are also important, RFCs or BAPIs or SOAP interfaces. We can talk about them as well, but today it's going to be about OData, which is actually also the go-to direction for new interfaces at SAP, and have a large overlap as well at what we do at Microsoft. So consider that as the enabler for today. Some context over here. Those are numbers from 2 studies. The first one on the left, $500,000 lost in integration issues per year. And 80% of the companies actually consider bad or digital transformation challenges as the major blocker here. So as I said at the beginning, today is going to be about speed. And this also puts some flesh to the bone how important that actually is. And here are the 2 references where those numbers came from. So this is on the product development direction. We are going to show the lower left today, the OData feature capability and what you can do on top. But actually the product roadmap has more in store for you over the coming engineering semesters. The first one up here is the first layer on top, where it says UX, where we make it SAP specific when you create an API in Azure API Management. And every single SAP application server, which is gateway enabled for OData, has also a discovery service. So it's not about you to actually talk to someone who knows their ins and outs, what's the name of the technical service. This will actually enable you to browse for them in a meaningful manner with descriptions, start maybe with a name like business partner, and then getting presented with the list, and not calling your technical integration consultant, what do you need here? Yeah? And then the very top level of this, where we have a native Azure service called Azure Center for SAP Solutions, which is already GA, was announced this year at Build, which makes Azure SAP aware. So if you register your system there, Azure already knows about many things like what's the host name, what are the ports, what is available. And this will actually make this whole experience for APIs and Azure API Management much more streamlined and much more efficient when you try to onboard developers who don't know very much about SAP. Yeah? And of course, then this empowers our whole stack, yeah? Across Power Platform, Azure, etc. And you will see some aspects today for the authorizations at the bottom right. We already heard about the GA of this feature today. This will be in line there, not only generic OAuth and the other flavors there, but really make it SAP specific for their what we call principal propagation and their other flows. So now let me move over to the first demo. So as of next week, you will get a new tile over here in the portal, where you can actually start then creating your own native OData features. Those of you who saw me here last year, we were showing something similar, but with a detour over OpenAPI conversion. This basically, that step is completely gone then. Yeah? You can go directly to OData. So here I have a metadata description for one of the OData services from the SAP demo system. And I have this name already in use. And this then creates your API and lists the schema entries from it. And you will see something popular like the business partner set, the first thing you would then start calling to see what the service does for you. And the rest stays the same as you're used to, all the features that you saw presented today. You can start using and putting OData to work for you there as well. So that's the introduction. So we already had a look at the NinjaCat and Turbo Pascal. Now we'll be moving over to the first live demo, where I'd like to invite Pascal to take over.
Here you go. Thanks.
The text already said it's generative AI-led, but we will also be using GitHub Copilot, like we saw today already at Fernando's session as well, but put it to use for the OData API in the SAP context. Yeah.
Yes. So what I'm going to demonstrate is this simple architecture. So we have. So I'm going to create a React.js app from scratch. And you can use ChatGPT. I'm using Copilot X, but in my repo I've done it with ChatGPT. So you don't need to be in the actual, not actual be in Visual Studio Code to generate the code. So you can use ChatGPT online as well. But yeah, it's very nice that we have this now embedded into the Visual Studio Code experience. So you can do a lot more with it than you can do from a separate website. Then I'm deploying everything via GitHub. So I have my GitHub actions, my bicep templates all ready to be deployed. So it deploys the complete architecture basically. It deploys the API management instance. It deploys the static web app. And it creates the connection with SAP as well. I also have it connected with application insights for good monitoring, of course. So yeah, everything is basically in there. Well, let me switch to the repo. So I've created a separate repo for this, and it's public, so you can all use it. And you can also do everything that I do today. You can do it yourself at home, or in your hotel, preferably. So you get already a little bit handy with the tools we are using and what you can do what you can do with it, because there are a lot of possibilities. So I'm only scratching the surface in this case. So this is the React app I created, and I literally did this in I would say a few minutes. So I was pretty impressed with it, because I'm not a React.js developer. I can read Turbo Pascal code, fine. I can also read some C#, but React.js was pretty new for me. So I was just like, okay, let's try this experience and see what I can do with React.js in combination with Copilot and see what I can do. So in this case, I just created like a simple app which shows information from an OData SAP environment. So this is coming directly from an SAP backend, and I'm fronting API management with that API and using that in my static web app. So let me dive into the actual architecture, then you can see a little bit more about the connections I'm making. So when I go to my Azure instance, so this is the static web app I'm using. And as you can see here, you can define APIs here, and you can link it directly with API management. So it probably needs to load a little bit.
And why is that interesting to link it with API management?
A good question, Martin. So, well, API management is your central point of all places where you want to place your APIs, of course, and you can monitor them there, you can governance there, you can add policies like throttling because you don't want to overload your backend systems. So this is a great way of using API management as an intermediate for your app, basically. And with this feature, you can easily link it. So it's already preparing some of the stuff for you. So if you look at here, you can see that my API management instance is linked. So I can click on that, and when you link it, it already creates something on the background at API management. So it already creates a product group and already adds some policies on there. So let us see how, when it loads, or otherwise I will just go to the management services itself. Let me go to it directly. Oh. Maybe have some Wi-Fi connection problems, I don't know. Let me just refresh it.
Or move over to GitHub
then. Yeah. So I will show you in a sec when it's loading. Then I can show you what it's doing. So when it comes to the actual app, I do everything in Visual Studio Code, but you can use Visual Studio as well. It has the AI assistant already as well embedded into the product, and this one basically is your coding assistant, right? So it's focusing on helping you code basically. So I just created some scripts like what are the questions that I had before creating this React app. So the first thing I need to know, like, how do you create a React.js app? I don't know. So I just pasted it into Copilot. And it gave me a really good answer, like also explaining some of the steps I need to take. But the thing I needed to do here was create, fill in this command like npx create React app, and then name it to my React app, and it would just complete and do the stuff. So I already did that up front because it takes a little bit of time to download all the modules, etc. So here you can see that I'm already in, so I will just make it a little bit clean. So it already states that when you have the app, you can go into the app. So let me check. I need to go to deploy to the React, that one. So here I can just do npm start to directly hit the application and to get it, to test it basically. So we'll now test it locally. It will spin up the server locally. And without, well, basically entering one command, I already have this running. So it's basically a boilerplate for your application. So I was thinking like, oh, okay, this is pretty nice. Let's build on that. So then I wanted to pick my OData API and see if it already detects some of the things I have within the OData API. So it will know what to show, right? So for example, I have my link, so I can test my API here. Oh, did I click it? I think I did.
And did you update your LinkedIn profile already, that you're now React.js?
No, not yet. So, it will respond. It's basically exposing the API via the static web app in a secure way, so it can hit this endpoint. So the next step is basically embedding this. I think I have some issues with my Wi-Fi, which I hadn't had before, but it's okay. Let's continue. So basically, what we did is just fill in the next command in GitHub Copilot, so it can build upon the first message we already had. Here I can see now I have my response, so I can see that this is my response coming back from SAP. So let's fill in the next command. So I already, because typing I heard is very difficult on stage. So this is where I already used like the text that I used. So can you generate code for my app, GS? So that's the application I'm running basically, which shows the business partner and the business partner full name from this API. So I just pasted in the API request. Also use the JSON format because I like parsing JSON better than XML, and just show it in a nice looking grid. And when I press a button, it will show that list. So it's a basic command. So I just use that. Then Copilot just gives me an answer on, okay, but this is the way how you can do this. Normally it's not thinking a long time, but sometimes it's quicker. I've already, if you can see here up the front, I already sweet talked Copilot a little bit, like, so hi Copilot. So he wanted to help me straight away, but I said no, in a sec it's fine. So I already, like, I think if you give it some more emotion and more attention, it will probably help you better, right? It's a Copilot. So yeah, that's how I would imagine it work. I think I have some connection issues, but let me run this again to see if it now works.
2 more minutes or so.
Ah, okay. Well, you can just, then it generates the code basically directly from the chat window, and you can just easily just paste it in. It's really easy, and it will generate basically the complete code for you. You can also add a lot of more things to it. So because this was just for me the first step to generate it, but you can also add a button then to hide the list, because I was only showing the list when I press show, right? But when it's already showing, you don't want to show anything more. And the other one was that I wanted to have some unit tests for my app as well. It did generate them completely, so that's really nice. It also documented my code if I ask it to, so there are already a lot of things you can do here. So again, as an integration developer, you could be an application developer. I would say relatively easy with Azure, with GitHub Copilot. So I would encourage you to look at it all. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is basically what I showed, right? You can generate your UI with Copilot or ChatGPT, which is general available. You can create a secure link with API Management static web app. It will create a product group for you where you can place the APIs in, which will create a secure connection between your APIs in API Management and your static web app. And as you already saw, I'm using an OData API. So that's coming shortly to the API Management as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I promised speed and also enterprise-grade scale at the beginning, yeah. And one of the features that was released to GA status in Microsoft Build is the Azure Developer CLI, which gives you like the ability to describe your app in a manner that supports developers right away. Yeah? So not only about infrastructure, but really about deploying, understanding what stage I'm in, and like also destroying stuff if I need to. Really, what as a developer need to do my job. And as a quick start sample, we added SAP's Cloud SDK as the foundation to work with our data in one of our repos, which is enabled to directly inject itself into Azure API Management to do the OData calls. So from left to right, we do one command, azd-up, which creates the resource group, the app service, and everything around that you need to actually monitor, log, run, keep secrets, etc. But also the special policies that you want to run for SAP. If you were here last year, I presented one that we published on our policy gallery that does SAP principal propagation, which is the mapping from Azure AD known identities into the SAP backend user, so that you can retain all the authorizations and all the stuff that your governance and risk control people for SAP did, and that they are more likely to give you access to that API. And because I think, relax guys, we're complying to all the things that you did there. It's not just calling into the system. And the easiest policy that we always add is request throttling. We heard that multiple days today. Request throttling is the easiest thing to protect your system from being overwhelmed. So let me go there. Here. And yeah. See, I'm a full-time Mac user. Yeah. All right. So I'm in here in a code space. It's like the Visual Studio Code running in the browser. And this is also GitHub Copilot enabled once it loads again here, so I'm still refreshing. And then we'll have a look at the capabilities here. And you can already see from the file that I open here, it's a TypeScript project. That's the SAP's Cloud SDK's framework that's being used. Okay, let's give it another try. And the beauty about this is SAP already thought about all the peculiarities that they have in their OData implementation. So you can rely on their framework, but still run it on Azure and use all the things around it, like Azure AD for your identity handling, the key vault for the secrets, and all the governance that you put around this. Let's see if we can convince this to come back up again. Otherwise, I move over.
Yeah, maybe connected, disconnected.
It says it's connected.
Yeah, it says.
All right. Then let's move over here. This is the resource group that Azure Developer CLI created when I ran the command azd-up before the code space decided not to load anymore. And here you see all the resources that were described on the diagram. And from here, when we open the app, that leads you to this website. And this is what the developer gets when he ran the command. So the only thing he had to do was to sign up for the Azure subscription and actually then run the command azd-up. And then here, then you get the first steps. And calling this business partner part of the website goes to one of the sandboxes that SAP publishes, so that everyone can get started quickly and work with a real system. And later in our presentation, you will get a list of all the publicly available endpoints, because one of the challenges that we hear from customers is actually getting access to a proper system. And for developers, that's like key to actually do integration tests, etc. Okay, it's really unhappy with us now, the Wi-Fi, huh? Okay, so before then I can start presenting from here again. Sorry? No, the SAP system runs fine. That's the Wi-Fi here locally. I wanted to point out one one like colleague I work with a lot. That's Christian Lechner. He's Azure MVP, and he works at SAP, and he has been very actively contributing to the Quick Starter project that we saw in action when CodeSpace actually loads. And through this mechanism, you can actually apply all the things that we have in store at Azure. So even with the so-called legacy SAP integrations, you can apply all the things in GitHub Copilot. You can use SAP's Cloud SDK, which brings you into the TypeScript layer, and really hit the ground running, because the Azure Developer CLI gets you all the things the app needs right away out of the box. So we already did the static web app demo with Pascal. We saw SAP's Cloud SDK doing OData. And now we want to go to the prime workload that everyone always asks about. What about Power Platform? There you go, Pascal.
Yes, thanks. So, for Power Platform, we need internet, right? So, I'm curious about how this one goes. But the architecture is simple. We're basically fronting SAP OData API with API management, as we explained before, with the new capabilities, which will be available soon. We have a Power Automate connected to that API management instance, and we can create a custom connector, as we call it, in Power Platform, which makes a direct connection to that API management instance. And then I have an app which makes the connection to or uses basically the Power Automate flows to do stuff, to make calls, basically. And in this case, the Power Automate can do several kinds of steps. It's more or less the same as Logic Apps, right? It has a little bit the same engine, and we do like a get of all the business partners from SAP in one flow, and we do an update of a field.
An update you saw already last year. It's quite interesting because you need to handle OData e-tags and CSRF tokens, and ideally also cache them, because you don't want to retrieve new tokens each time, because SAP has to give you the token, and it can easily be choked. We call that the Monday morning blues. 9 a.m. everyone logs in and starts calling SAP, and then your basis gets very mad because nothing works anymore. There you go.
No, it's still loading. it has of course the cache already in the.
Okay, so either we move laptop or we try LAN as suggested there. Yeah, there's cable.
Oh, really?
I thought the cable is here, so we will get it from there.
I will just try to maybe connect to disconnect again. Maybe that will work. Or I could use my phone. I don't have only a connector with me on the UTP cable. Yeah, but I don't have a.
You don't have a lamp like that?
It doesn't have a. It doesn't have a. It doesn't have a.
USB-C.
USB-C. Oh, really? Oh,
LAN to USB-C.
Yeah, we're getting a connector for it.
Yeah, or we swap to mine. I was able to open.
So with all the stuff with cloud, you still need a cable, right? Nothing beats a cable. Yeah, it's a hybrid scenario.
But we have a second one.
Allow. Well, this was so, yeah, it was so extremely fast. So, okay, so this is the Power App we are showing. So it's showing data from SAP. So you can here click on a certain record. It will just pop up with the details of this. Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Or escape
Yeah.
the presentation first.
Yeah, I have it. So this is the Power App, thank you, which is showing the data from SAP on the left side. So these are the main records. So the detailed information is on the right. So with clicking the information, it will just refresh the information on the right side. So in this case, I want to, for example, change this address. So it's a do not reply address. So I can hit update, and I will get a response OK back from the Power Automate. So what is happening underneath? So these are my flows. So I will just refresh them so we can see that they actually run just a sec ago. And here you can see it. So basically, it's going through a few steps here, and these are pretty simple. So you basically connect the Power App with the flow, and you just pass like 2 variables with it. You can then store them as variables within the Power Automate itself. In this case, we're just going to first do a call to get the E tag, so we can update the information in SAP.
And maybe another word for this one. Here already, when you click Add New Tasks, the custom connector that we exported from API Management already describes the whole OData API. Makes it much simpler for what we call the maker, who doesn't understand maybe what SAP even does under the hood.
Yeah.
Seeing add business partner, update business partner, and then gets presented with some of the fields where the complexity is then hidden in Azure API Management.
Yeah, good point. So, and when you got this E tag, you can then do the update, and it will just do a call back to API Management with the E tag updating the email address. And as we saw, it just updated correctly, because if we refresh that data here again, it will show that it will collect a different email address for me for this record. Under the hood,
And we are using a policy to cache the tokens from SAP.
Yeah.
So that when you imagine like you have hundreds of users calling this, you don't want them always to request new tokens, because the SAP system has to issue them. And the policy is even set up to have the expiry set and at different times, so that you don't have people requesting new tokens at the same time. Like I said, Monday morning blues. You need to make sure that you can distribute the load on your SAP system. And the policy takes care of all of those things for you. And it's ready to run. You can just copy it from our gallery and apply it for that use case.
Yeah, I can show it. I can show the policy as well. It's a pretty extensive one. I can show it quickly. So it's that one, yeah. So as you can see here, for all operations, we have this one. So as you can see, here's the complete policy. And basically what it does, it connects the user from the Power Platform, which is a Microsoft user, right, like an Azure AD user, and it connects it with the SAP user. So basically, it makes like a token dance for you, and then connects the two to each other. And as you can see here, this is like a log trace from SAP itself. And you can see here that the user is mapped with Adele, which is the Power user. Power Platform user, which did the operation basically, and you can map it with a SAP specific user. So that makes it like an end-to-end experience with basically with the principal propagation in between.
And you saw me showing at the beginning the intended direction for Azure API Management, the API authorizations feature. This is one of the things that we would also want to simplify. The policy has like 100 lines. It's managed by us, so it's fairly easily applicable, but we still want to simplify further and put this into the feature set. No? Cool.
Yeah, just to sum up the things we showed, so you can map your Power Platform users with SAP backend users, and I think this is really important one, and a high demand of customers who want to use this in this way. And basically, API Management does the heavy lifting for you. So you put all the technical things, complex things you need to do. You already place it in API Management, so you can ease that burden on the Power Platform side.
And it gives some ease for the SAP users because they can throttle so you don't get your system, backend system overloaded. So yeah.
All right, yeah, so some takeaways for you. Has never been easier to do this. No one said that before, I've heard today again, yeah. The Quick Starter project with the Azure Developer CLI, it's really just one click of a button and you can get the starter project up and running. Applicable to Power Platform, and also in Rage for the new stuff that we do around generative AI, even though it's SAP systems, yeah? So it's not out of reach there. We'd like your feedback on the repo directly, if you like. There's the issues and discussions. If the Quick Starter is actually enabling you to do quick starts on it. And we have an extensive blog gallery where we curate the content around SAP and Microsoft. A YouTube channel also where we give regular updates on a weekly basis. And a landing page where we describe all Microsoft integrations with SAP. And as I promised at the beginning, here's a list of available systems. So no need to wait for weeks or months to get access at your company. You can get started right away with anything that's available there out in the internet and get coding right away. My offering to you, use that link and book a session over the coming days with me if you want to talk further. Like 15 minutes, or just find me outside. I will be here the rest of the week, same as Pascal. And happy to have further chats about this. And you find further reading around all of this in the slide deck once it's published for you. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you.